So it's still January. Yay! We're still renewing the basics. We go back to the beginning and we renew our understanding, our commitment, our dedication to this philosophical teaching. So in the beginning, there was the thing itself, right? That was the first one we talked about, first week of January. The thing itself, the way it works, and today, what it does. Next week will be the last piece of that 4-part introduction in the textbook. Next week will be how to use it. But today we're discussing what it does, and we are able to understand better what it does ever since we've been building this understanding from the last 2 weeks, right? The thing itself. We went right back to that beginning, and Ernest Holmes said this. He said, the study of the science of mind is a study of first cause, spirit, mind, that invisible essence, that ultimate stuff and intelligence from which everything comes. The power back of creation, the thing itself. And so he's telling us there is nothing else. There is simply spirit in whatever form it chooses to take. There is only one. We call it God, right? Here in this center, or ground of all being, or spirit, or all there is, or first cause, or sometimes I call it Bob. Whatever. We have a name for this stuff of everything. And last week, we talked about the way it works. It works for us by working through us. That's what the last week's conversation was about. The thing itself, has no way of working in the manifest universe except by working through its creations. And the manifest universe and everything in it, including us, are its creations. So everything in the manifest universe is an outpicturing of this one energy. And what we also said last week was, however, we must recognize that power and presence in our lives, right? We talked about that recognition. Otherwise, we live in ignorance. Now, that doesn't mean it's not working. It's still working, right? The thing itself and the way it works. It still works in our life, but it works in our life according to our ignorance and our unconsciousness. And last week what we said was we cannot recognize it for what it is if we keep believing what it is not. Right? We talked about that. We have to align ourselves with truth and only truth. And here's what it does. See? Build up to today's talk. And here's what it does, according to Ernest Holmes. It personifies itself through the human in varying degrees according to our receptivity to it. It responds to us. That's what it's saying. It responds to us. That's what it does. That is exciting. It responds to us, which means it has already given everything. Everything that is possible is already there. Do we get that? I mean, do you get that? Everything has already been given. The gift has already been given. Spirit has already made everything of itself available to us in infinite quantities. We must make ourselves available to accept the gift because it can only respond to us. Ernest Holmes said it, in varying degrees according to our receptivity to it. See how brilliant that is? Everything is there. It is up to us to accept the gift. We say we live in a safe and orderly universe, and the universe says yes. We say we're alone and afraid and apt to be a victim, and the universe says yes. We say that life is not good, or we say we are sad and alone and pathetic, and the universe says yes. We say that we are loved and lovable and just as adorable as can be, and the universe says yes. You see this? The universe is not happening to us. Life is not happening to us. Life is responding to us. The universe has already given to all alike. Everything, every possibility in the universe is already there. And it can only respond to us at the level that we're willing to accept it. It is impersonal. Do you ever think like the number pi? Anybody think of the number pi? 3.14. We're going to celebrate it in March 14th, right? Okay. So the number pi is an infinite, non-repeating decimal. Goes on forever and always. It's infinite. So think about it. You think about that number pi, it's like it contains every number ever, ever, ever. The date you were born is in there someplace. The date you're going to die, that's in there. Every address you've ever had, you've ever lived in, every house, that number is in there. It is an infinite, infinite number. That's the kind of infinite inclusivity we're talking about in the thing itself. Everything is included in there. The universe gives everything of itself. It can respond to our acceptance of whatever part of it we accept. Whatever part of it we can accept. That's what we wind up manifesting. Ernest Holmes said this, I love this. He said, should all of the wisdom of the universe be poured over us, we would only receive that which we are ready to understand. This is why some draw some kind of knowledge while others draw other from the same source of knowledge. He goes on to say, the scientist discovers the principles of his science. The artist embodies the spirit of his art. The saint draws the Christ consciousness into his being, all because they have courted a particular presence of this definite concept. Each state of consciousness taps the same source, but has a different receptivity. Each receives according to his or her ability to embody. The universe is infinite. The possibility of differentiating is limitless. Everything is there for all of creation. And it is a matter of what we set our minds to, what we embody, what we believe, what our intention is, where our passion lies, what our fire is, what we put our energy on. That we're able to receive because we already believe we can have that. That is what it does. That's what it does. And so each one of us chooses different experiences. Wow, there's 7.5 billion of us, right, on the planet? We each choose our own experiences. We each delve into this one energy, this one limitless and infinite energy, and we pick and choose from that what we would experience. And this is how multiplicity proceeds from unity. Or as Emerson said, unity passes into variety. We are that. Unity passes into variety because we each pick and choose our own experience out of this limitless well of energy. So this is what it does. It responds. It has no other way of being except to become to us what we believe it can be. Ernest Holmes said this, he said, it can pass into expression through us as we consciously allow it to do so. So what's our part in that? This is the thing itself. This is the way it works. This is what it does. It responds to us. So then what is our part in this thing? We must work to be a larger container for spirit to flow into. Yes? We're standing here in the river of God's abundance. I love that song. Are we singing that today? Yay. Okay, good. All right. We stand open-handed and open-hearted in the river of God's abundance. Are you showing up with a thimble or are you showing up with a 55-gallon drum? It's your choice. Yes, it is your choice, right? We must provide a greater idea, a greater container for spirit to flow into. We have to provide the greater idea of acceptance to us in order to demonstrate a greater manifestation. Because everything is in there. What are we picking? What are we choosing? Ernest Holmes did this undoubtedly. I love this one too. Ernest Holmes said, undoubtedly, each of us is now demonstrating his concept of life. But trained thought is far more powerful than untrained thought. And the one who gives conscious power to his thought ought to be more careful about what he thinks. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. That's the idea. That's the idea. Trained thought is more powerful. So we have to come back to our thought and say, what am I thinking? What am I thinking? Why am I getting this messed up manifestation? Well, maybe because I have messed up thinking. Think about what we're thinking about. Our spiritual path is one of freedom, right? Ernest Holmes said that our spiritual path is one of freedom. And the tools that we have here in this center grow our consciousness. That's what they're for. Meditation and prayer and visualization and visioning. It is to engage and evolve our consciousness so that we can experience a greater degree of livingness than ever before. And this is not just a solitary pursuit. Yes, we start with ourselves, but as we become more to life, life becomes more to us, and then we do greater things in the world as well, don't we? Because we are bigger and better for it. And then as we get that feedback back from the world, then we can become more to us. We know more of ourselves, our God selves, the truth of who we are. And then we believe a greater truth for not only ourselves, but everyone else, and that's how we interact in the world. These spiritual tools, like affirmative prayer, grow us, and they enable us to become more to life. And Ernest Holmes talks about affirmative prayer. He said it's an active thing. It's an active thing. It's not a passive thing. When we pray, we're not sitting around hoping and wishing and hoping. I don't know. Anyway, who is it? That's the one you should sing. Anyway, so we're not sitting around waiting and wishing and hoping for something to happen. Affirmative prayer is affirmative. That's why it has that word in there. We are absolutely making a statement. Sitting around wishing and hoping, it would be like the artist sitting there imagining, praying the beautiful painting and never picking up his brush. Right? It's like it's missing a part. Ernest Holmes said it is its nature to spring into being through our thoughts and action. He didn't stop at just thoughts. Through our thoughts and action. Ernest Holmes made a reference in the introduction to an iron foundry. I don't know anything about iron foundries, but he did, apparently. And he talked about, pig iron gets thrown into a furnace and it gets heated up to a gazillion degrees and it becomes liquid. And then it gets poured into a mold to take on a definite shape, right? They're making metal, whatever they're making. I don't know. But if there is no mold, for this liquid metal to be poured into, it takes no shape at all. If it gets poured out on the floor, it takes no shape at all. No form, no shape. This is the way it is with this teaching, with this philosophy, with the love, which points the way. The love is the way shower, and the law is the mold. It is the mold that it takes. Love is the way shower. Law makes the way. We must provide the mold. We must provide the form of our acceptance for Spirit to pour itself into, so that we may manifest our life, our desire. Otherwise, a whole lot of nothing happens. And a whole lot of nothing happens for several reasons. And I'm here to tell you what they are. We do not have a clear mold of acceptance in our mind. We don't have a clear vision of what that mold of our acceptance is. Whatever. Spirit can just give to me, whatever it has. I don't know. I don't care. I don't want to get picky. I don't want to hope for too much. I don't want to, okay? You know that feeling, right? So we don't have a good idea of what that is that we even want. And even if we do have a good idea about it, we don't hope for it because, we don't want to be greedy or hope for too much or whatever. We do not provide a mold for the acceptance for Spirit to pour itself into. So it pours what? On the ground, and it creates nothing, right? Nothing, a lot of nothing happens. Or number two, there is another one. There is that double-minded thing going on. Anybody have any of that going on in their lives? Love it, not worthy, want it, don't deserve it. You know, the double-minded thing, is it only me? Is it like people are going, no, it's just you. Okay. We don't keep our eyes single. We don't keep ourselves focused on our good only. We listen to the fear voice. We listen to the doubt voice. We listen to the lack. We get hypnotized by the unworthiness. We start giving our energy over there. Well, I want this, but I'll prepare for that if that happens. You know, this split idea. Whatever it is that keeps us from believing wholeheartedly and completely that mold is ours. In the letter to James in the Bible, it says, if any of you lack wisdom, you must ask God, who gives all generously. But the prayer must be made in faith with no trace of doubt. Because a person who has doubts are like the waves thrown up by the sea on the wind. A doubting person is double-minded, inconsistent, and unstable. They must not expect to receive anything. Ouch. So we have to question our thoughts. We have to question and release any thought contrary to truth. Any thought contrary to our belief, to our mold of acceptance. Anything that would deny that has to go. Has to go. So that we can manifest the truth we desire. If we are of dual mind, we cannot expect the universe to proceed on our behalf. We must expect nothing. And Ernest Holmes said this. He said, life has given us blank pages of its own nature. To each of us, write what you believe. What a great blessing that we may lift our eyes from the dim and sordid pictures that we have painted in our weakness and in our suffering and our defeat. We are always free to look at a new picture to paint. We can look at the nature of God in every scene that life presents and hold so steadfastly to the divine, to the picture of love, of beauty, of peace, of wholeness, that we no longer discern the difference between the good that we look at and the good in us that is doing the looking. And that's the other reason we don't manifest our dreams. That's number 3. We keep that distance. We keep a distance between the good we're looking at and the good that is doing the looking. And we confuse this idea that this is going to be hard, so it's going to take long to manifest, right? We keep putting it out there in the future. There is an illusion of separation there when we do that. Treatment and what it does, when completely accepted, there is no difference between the word spoken and what it does. They become one and the same thing. They are one in the same thing. Ernest Holmes said, there will be no difference between the word we speak and what it does. What we shall not separate a sequence and delay the conclusion in time because we have unconsciously created a stretch of time still in the future in our own minds can never appear in the present of our own experience. As long as we keep our good out there, someday I'm going to have, or I'm going to be, or I'm going to get, or I'm going to go, it's always going to be out in the future. Ernest Holmes said when we pray, when we do our spiritual mind treatment, when we do our affirmative prayer, it is happening right here, right now. We must come to the truth right here, right now, that the past and the present and the future all coexist on the same continuum. All coexist on the same continuum, right? We know this at some point, at some level of our experience, at some level of our consciousness. You know the story about the anthill, right? I've talked about the anthill. Okay, well, there's an anthill. Over here, there's an anthill. And right here, there's an ant. Okay? And over here, there's a picnic with a blanket and a sandwich left unattended. And we're standing here I was going to say 5'6", but I'm not, I'm lying. And he was like, okay, so I'm standing over this scene, 5'1" and 3/4. And I see the ant hill. And I see the ant, and I see the sandwich, and here I am with the God's eye view. Because I'm looking at the ant's past, and the ant's present, and the ant's future simultaneously. See, it is one continuum. There is no past, present, and future. It is all unfolding right here, right now, as I look at it. Past, present, and future. And any future. The ant could turn and go someplace else. The ant could turn around and go back. The ant could hit the sandwich. He could miss the sandwich. And I am looking at every single possible outcome that could be. There is no past, present, and future. We must come to the idea, to the belief, to the truth that it's all happening right here, right now. In the mind of God, every single outcome is right there. So when we pray, we must pray in that present tense, that it's right there. What is known in the mind of God is known right now, regardless of the effect, regardless of what we're seeing right now in the physical world, in the world of conditions and effects. Every possible outcome coexists. Ernest Holmes said this, he said, prayer and its answer, a treatment and its performance should be instantaneous and simultaneous. And he goes on to say, I mean by that faith and what it does are the same thing. Prayer and what it does is the same thing. Treatment and what it does is the same thing. So there you have it. That's what it does. It responds to us. It responds to our belief, our soul. It responds to our ability to believe. It responds to what we think we are capable or worthy of. And to sum everything up, we need to, one, create a clear mold of acceptance. Not just this old annual thing, whatever God's got laying around, I guess I'll take. We have to provide a clear mold of acceptance. Two, we have to be single-minded and cast out all doubt. Cast out all doubt. Get thee behind me, Satan. You know what that is? That's get rid of the doubt. Get rid of the doubt. Be single-minded. And three, we have to bring the past, the present, and the future together in this one eternal now. Because nothing happens to us in the future. Right here, right now, this is where we make our declaration. This is where our power lies. Right here in this eternal now, right here in this moment. And Ernest Holmes said, and it had better be spontaneous combustion. I love that. I love that. He said, you know, to us, treatment is the thing. And there should be no difference between treatment and what it does. No difference. And no treatment can be alike because there can never be a formula for treatments. So no matter what you're saying, see, you can't be wrong. You're not doing it wrong. Don't doubt yourself. Speak your word with power and authority, because he said it right there. There is no formula for treatment. Speak your word for power and authority. And he said, it has to be a spontaneous combustion. Wow. And that's what I'm inviting you to do this week. Speak your word with power and authority. Have that clear mold of acceptance. Know what you want. Be single-minded. Get rid of the thoughts of fear and doubt and lack and the dual-mindedness. God tells me this, but society or culture tells me that. Who cares what they say? They don't count. Go back to the principles. Go back to the truth. And know and accept, even if you don't see it around here, even if it hasn't manifested yet, it is there. It is in the mind of God. Therefore, it already exists. That's what we're going to do. That's the big work. That is what it does. Thank you so much.